Hi, this is Kumud presenting to you my audio blog. So, in this first episode of this podcast, I will be reading out an author's preface I wrote very recently, just a couple of days ago, for my upcoming book. The book title is Jet Lag Project. So I'll just read out, in case you want to hear about it, but your eyes are too tired. There's too much screen time these days. Can't hurt to close your eyes sometimes and just listen. All right, so this is the Jet Lag Project author's preface. I got goosebumps the day Anthony Bourdain killed himself. A friend of mine reached out to me, not just to break the news, but to tell me that she got goosebumps when she heard the news. What we often perceive in the people around us is far, far away from reality. Anxiety is widespread, especially if you consider yourself relatively ambitious, relatively smart, and in some cases, relatively successful. Then chances that you have suffered or are suffering from some form of psychological issues, depression and anxiety disorder being the most common, are very high. Trust me, the chances that you have a degree of psychological disorder is high. Let this sink in for a second. Being obsessed with self-image, whether in a social setting or in the professional career context, is often a symptom of a psychological issue, usually tied to some form of emptiness or feeling of being inadequate deep inside. But let's save this controversial assertion for a more detailed discussion in some form later as the story unfolds in this book. This piece is basically like a preface in a book, but presented in a different form. Published as a blog, initially on my blogspot, Gimire, Gimire hyphen invest, invest .blogspot.com. But presented in a different form, published as a blog, and on social media to put a social pressure on myself to seriously sit on my ass and write a book. A dream I've been carrying for the last 15 years. Some of you know that I've attempted to write a book before. I'd started working on one back in high school, in Budhanilkanta School in Kathmandu around 15 years ago. Of course, like most of the things I embark on, that journey was never completed. Then there was another attempt to start writing a book a few years later, which never materialized, mostly because the rat race was too intense to allow time for serious writing, as they say, and I believe they're right. Third time's the charm. What is this book all about, you may ask? Honestly, I can't even tell you whether I would call it fiction or non-fiction. I think the story requires it to take elements from both of those. In short, this book is about the R square word. The R square word. The rat race, which all of us understand at some level but refuse to badmouth it. The race that is from nowhere to nowhere. We all are intelligent enough to understand that this rat race is neither serving the economy over the long term, nor serving your own well-being. But acknowledging this reality that you've already experienced to some degree would be so at odds with your mental models of reality that you've taken decades to build and perfect in your own head as you slowly shaped your personality to who you are today. Then this question of who am I is too risky to ask yourself. So you just either exaggerate your own life story in your head or undermine the story of your own growth and strength by using the shield of pain narrative to cling on to some form of identity, some form of answer to the question, who am I? But don't jump to conclusions about what this book is just yet. This is not a book about spirituality. What do I even know about spirituality? And this is certainly not a radical socialist, activist type, militant left-wing critique of the system that exploits everybody. The system. Most of those critiques tend to offer none to very little viable alternatives to even the different small parts of the system, let alone even a vague idea of what that just system could look like. And there's a problem with all this obsession with changing the system, thinking big, swinging around those big swinging dicks, borrowing the term from the book Liar's Poker. Not just in finance, but across industries and economies and job titles. The problem is that we're interested in making an impact on the outside world without even making a positive impact on our own self first. That is the problem. Before we focus on our own emotional stability and physical health and mental health and strength, we're running in the rat race because there's a train you have to catch. And what we have is almost a planet full of emotionally not very stable, physically and mentally exhausted, intelligent and innately kind individuals who go around in smiles and are unconsciously spilling over their negative energies all around them, to their significant others, to their children, to their parents, to their friends, to their colleagues, to their mailman and their maid, to practically everyone that comes in a certain physical vicinity of them. This has to change. And it has to start with us stopping to pretend that we're fine and happy, with us stopping to smile and talking about mental health issues long before you reach the breaking point. We cannot feel broken, because that very feeling of hitting the rock bottom might be an opportunity to awaken. So yes, as an overarching theme, this book is an intersection of psychology and spirituality, but not grounded on the findings of the discipline of psychology or any of that academic approach. Because this book is a story without numbers and statistics about how many people can relate to at least some events or characters within, but with a general hypothesis that most people can relate to at least on some level. This is about ego, about greed, fear, ambition, rejection, addiction, pain, self-pity, anger, fights, success, and all that crap, and an attempt to get on a long and very slow journey to transcend them. It's about the struggles with unlearning so many things we had learned since early childhood, about deconstructing self. It's about questioning certain values and misplaced priorities. It's about the realization that any given moment we have two choices: to stay around the people and spend some deep quality time with them in that moment, which is to completely embrace the current unfolding of life, or to walk away, to change the situation that needed change from your perspective. And the fact that when someone spends time with us and touches us in a profound yet mundane way, we owe them gratitude. We owe them love and not curses or hatred because they shattered our expectations. As Sadhguru puts it, at least at some point in your life, they made you feel whole and complete. My recent journey, and consequently this book, is inspired by some amazing individuals who have guided me in a path of inner journey and the path of unconditional happiness, borrowing Michael Singer's words from his masterpiece book, The Untethered Soul. Notable influencers include Sadhguru, Michael Singer, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, Eckhart Tolle, Goenka, Vipassana meditation, Mark Manson, yes, practical enlightenment, and countless other names, including many of you in my life, many of you who have either knowingly or unknowingly pushed me to become a better version of myself, to become more humble, to become more compassionate, but assertive. Without the support of many, many of you, there are so many that it would be unfair to even attempt listing names. But you know who you are. I would not have succeeded to get out of a dark place mentally and attempt to even start comprehending the possibility of a happy and more joyful life. But I repeat, this is not a book about spirituality. So if you see elements of spirituality in the emerging themes, that is merely a product of the influence of some of the spiritual leaders and visionaries I named above on my way of perceiving existence and the world. From the very bits and pieces of what I've learned from their wisdom till date, and tried experimenting some of them in my own life. But it's just a story with very few characters, very few literary skills and devices. I rarely read stories, trust me. I must have finished less than 10 novels, cover to cover in my life. Here's a short poem in Nepali, originally published in my poetry blog titled Kaile Kaile Kavita Pani Chheriन्छ, literally translated as Sometimes I Shit Poetry Too, which is by no means a summary of the story, not even close, but yet sets the context for the kind of themes touched in this book. The book will be in English, of course. Only this short poem will be in Nepali. I rarely shit poetry, so don't judge this book by a short poem up front. I attempted to write a poem after 4 years, with a strong track record of 3 to 4 full poems in my life. It's about one of the many elements of the jet lag project. Consider this a very brief summary of one of the chapters in this book. And if you don't understand Nepali, please don't even attempt Google Translate. The meaning will be turned upside down when it's lost in that hashtag Google Translation. If you're curious about what the seemingly cheesy poem entails, happy to tell you when we see each other in person and catch up. Your support in the construction of this attempted painting of the jet lag project would be always, always welcome. Gratitude for reading this intro, and later, hopefully, reading this book, if and when your time permits. You've become a busy person now. No, but seriously, gratitude for your support with marketing efforts some undefined time down the road. So here's the poem that I just mentioned. It's in Nepali. I'll attempt to recite it. So the title of the poem is सुरु हुनै नपाएको कहानी. सुरु हुनै नपाएको कहानी. ऐना बोकेर एयरपोर्टमा अवतरण गरे म. ऐना आफूलाई हेर्ने, आफैलाई ठुलो बनाउने, आफैलाई पूजा गर्ने हाम्रो बानीले त बजारमा ऐनाहरू बिक्छन्. ऐनालाई घरको कोठामा राखेर आफ्नो थकित अनुहारलाई ऐनामा हेर्दा तिम्रो मुहार देखेँ. त्यही तिम्रो ताप, जाडोमा काठमाडौँमा छतमा बसेर तापौँ तापौँ लाग्ने, सुत्न मन लाग्ने घाम जस्तो. उसलाई बुझाउन पनि कठिन छ. उसको साथ मलाई किन जाडोको काठमाडौँको घाम जस्तो लाग्छ. उसलाई नेपाली बोल्न नआएर बुझाउन कठिन होइन, तर उसलाई काठमाडौँ नै थाहा छैन. त्यो जाडो महिनाका हिटिङ बिनाका ठन्डा रातहरू र भोलि दिउँसोको घामको स्वाद नै थाहा छैन. ऐनामा आफूलाई हेर्दा जब उसलाई मुस्कुराइरहेको, बोलिरहेको देख्दा एकछिन त म बौलाएँ कि भनेर झस्किएँ. अलिकति मुटु चस्कियो, सपना खस्कियो. तिम्रो र मेरो यो सुरु हुनै नपाएको कहानी कतै कुनै दुनियाँमा हुर्कन पाइदिएको भए कति सुन्दर कहानी बन्थ्यो होला. सोध्न मन लाग्छ उसको त्यो वजनदार तर्कहरू भएको मधुर आवाजमा उत्तर सुन्न मन लाग्छ. मसँग बसेर कफी पिउँदा, अङ्गुरको तितो जुस पिउँदा, त्यो उसको उडान र मेरो उडान बीचका क्षणिक भेटहरूमा उसलाई कस्तो अनुभूति हुँदो हो. मलाई जस्तै उसलाई पनि काल रात्रिपछि घाम तापको जस्तो अनुभूति हुँदो हो, नहुँदो हो. तर सोधेर पनि के गर्नु. भोलिको सूर्योदय अनि सूर्यास्त अनि त्यसपछिको घाम उदाउन नपाउँदै मेरो उडान छ. ऊ र म फेरि अनिश्चित, अनिर्धारित समयको लागि अर्कै अर्कै शहर, अर्कै अर्कै देश, अर्कै महादेश. कुनै दिन समुद्र पारीबाट तिमीलाई माया पठाउने पक्षमा पनि म छैन, विपक्षमा पनि म छैन. तिमीलाई चिन्न थालेको हो कि तिम्रो ती आँखाको गहिराईमा तिमीलाई, तिम्रो अस्तित्व, तिम्रा विचार, तिम्रा पीडा, तिम्रा सपनाहरू अलिअलि देख्न थालेको पो थिएँ कि. जे देख्दै थिएँ वर्षौँमा भाग्यले डोर्याएर हुने एउटा अलौकिक मिलन हो कि जस्तो अनुभूति हुँदै थियो. तर के गर्नु, तिमीसँगको कहानी सुरु हुन नपाउँदै, कहानीका च्याप्टरहरू कागजमा कोरिन नपाउँदै, मेरा कविताहरू छेरिन नपाउँदै, प्लेनको बोर्डिङ छ, अर्को उडान छ, अर्को उडान छ. Thank you very much for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you. Thank you for listening.